Hi, and welcome to the DC Fall Open. We are live here in Washington, DC. I'm Chris Garlock. With me, Michael Redmond, 9-Dan professional.
Hi.
Good to have you here,
Yeah.
and I think folks are going to really enjoy this. So we are broadcasting from the brand new, can still smell the paint and the sawdust, broadcasting center here at the National Go Center in Washington, D.C. Just put it together last weekend, and so we're just breaking it in. So let's try not to break it.
Yeah, that's right.
Michael's here for a few days. We had a little visit yesterday with some students in Northern Virginia. Right. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. And then for those of us in the area, you may want to come by either today. You can check out the tournament. And then tomorrow you'll be doing a brunch, and we'll be doing some game analysis. So if you have games that you want Michael to look at, bring those by 11 o'clock again here at the National Go Center. But I know Michael is championing to get at the game. This is round one, board one, and I know that we have. We'll take a look at the players in just a sec. I believe it's, in fact, I know I have it right here. Yuan Zhou, my old teacher, is playing the White Stones, and I believe it's Qingbo Zhang. Is that right? Qingbo Zhang. That's what I'm going with. We'll double check that.
Sounds like a Chinese name.
It does. Yes. Is on 5-Dan. So Qingbo is 5-Dan. Yuan, of course, 7-Dan. Yuan is very well known here in the DC area. Back in the day, won quite a number of tournaments. So he's probably looking to collect this one to add to his collection. So as usual, folks can, if you have questions, Joel will relay them to us here. We will try and answer as many as possible. But without further ado, would you like to? You actually want to look at the game?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. You sort of suspected that, huh?
I did suspect.
I'm not sure whether I have the right order for white 2 and 4, because I wasn't looking. But it's not a big deal. Okay. And white played here. So white this is one way to approach the Chinese opening. I think nowadays some people would be thinking of jumping into the 3-3 point, but before AIs, like playing a Kakari from this direction,
it's fairly normal.
Or playing a Kakari from this direction, and this is the one that Gosagan was wanted people to do. And so this is the low Kakari here, very close to the corner.
Well, but since you brought it up, the 3-3, do you think that with modern play, post AlphaGo, do you think that would be playable?
I think some people would do it, but with the black stone here, it is going to be a big side, which white will not have a good point to come into. So I would still play the Kakari. Be interested. I haven't actually put this position to a computer because mostly people have stopped playing the Chinese opening, and so it's really strange in that way. But I still think the Kakari, the approach move here, is a normal move.
Okay.
This is sort of interesting because this is the move that Gosagan wanted people to play. And otherwise, this was also a very popular opening. Like this could continue like this, with white taking the side. And when black pincers, there's all sorts of variations like this, where white is trading into the corner. This is one variation that was actually played quite a lot, and black extends, and white plays here. And black can close off the center with this move, which is very nice. The moment white plays a hane here, black can push through. And that allows black to play this move as an Atari. So that makes it very easy for black to close off the side, for instance, like this. Or black could just play thickly.
And this isn't too close?
Well, when it's here, there's different things that happen towards the corner. But this is played also. This is played, and sometimes white will counter that with this move. And then there's all sorts of different things that happen. Like even when white plays the attachment, it's different when it's close and different. Like when black plays on this side. Now you got me going, Chris. When you get this kind of variation, well, there's all sorts of stuff that happens with this kind of thing. And you see when this is close and you have this kind of thing happening, it's relatively easy for black to connect up. Whereas when it's further away, there's a weakness there. Yeah, and so the way that the players handle this fight is completely different. It's not. It is playable for black, but it's going to be different and a bit more difficult sometimes.
And all these patterns for folks that are new to the game are what are called the sequences. Corner sequences are called josekis. Some of which go back hundreds of years, right?
More than that, but yeah. Well, most of the ones that are thousand years more, they've probably disappeared by now. Right. Yeah, there are some ancient Chinese joseki that, as star points have come back into fad. There's some of them have revived, I think. Yeah. So
there's sort of patterns that folks have, as you're pointing out, have developed, over the years, and then as they've sort of gone in and out of popularity, or people think, oh, it's a disadvantage.
Right. Yes.
They abandon them.
But this whole Chinese opening thing is something that happened in the mid 20th century.
Very popular for a while.
So it's not that old, and actually this approach on the side of it is fairly new because people didn't do it very much before Go Seigen suggested it. And like the idea with this one, I was showing all sorts of attachments and ways white can get into the side. This also is looking at an attachment. For instance, if black plays a pincer, looks like we've lost the go board though.
Yeah, we may have to come back to it.
Well, our picture is live, it seems.
Okay.
We could go back to the game. Look at the game.
There. And you've got the sequence here, or do we need?
I still know what the moves are.
You do. Okay, because I can clone it. Oh, if I clone it here, I need to. So I clone it, then I can just go back. We froze up again. Ooh, very aggressive. I'm sorry, are we...
We're still broadcasting?
We still broadcasting?
Yeah, do you want us to go to a break?
No, that's fine. We can just chat. So folks, sorry about that. As I mentioned, it is a new broadcast center, which means we are going to have some bugs from time to time. We're working on that. Our crack crew is working on that now. So it is a good time for us to talk about the yesterday. You went on a really interesting visit to talk to some young folks over in Northern Virginia about Go, which was pretty cool. About 100, two different schools.
Two different schools, yeah.
So what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, it was really nice to see some of the kids really catching on to the idea of playing Go and enjoying what was going on. I had this little slideshow, so I was showing them slides of some nice pictures of ancient stuff from China. Actually, it was the ukiyo-e prints were from Japan, but they were.
Folks what that is, because I think a lot of people don't know.
It's a kind of a painting, but they make it into a print so they can reproduce it. But it's very beautiful. The color and the use of color was inspiring, and actually, these were exported into Europe in ancient times, and they inspired some of the greatest European artists. So it's a very beautiful piece of art to see, and there's a lot of them. And so, like, there's these prints about ancient Chinese tales. So, and these have, at the time, in Edo era, that's about 300 years ago, they had become very popular in Japan. So they had these stories about the Chinese Three Kingdom era, which was I think it was about 3rd century. So something like 1,800 years ago.
Cool.
And yeah. Oh, we got our go board back.
We did get our go board back. Yeah. Good work, team. All right. I told you it was our crack team. So, all right. Sorry about that, folks. All right. So we actually have some exciting stuff going on here on the board. So let's go ahead and...
Why don't we catch up with the moves?
We catch up with the moves, and then we can talk about it.
So this is a way black plays when black wants to build on the Chinese opening. It works fairly well with the high Chinese, which is this, the high position of that.
So just a reminder that it's a game of territory. Yeah. So black is thinking this area is
going to be a black territory, maybe.
Black territory.
But you know, it doesn't happen according to the script.
No, I know. I didn't want to introduce that concept just yet. But this area is kind of thinking about being a little bit of a white territory, which may or may not happen. Okay.
Okay, so this is a point where the natural move for white is to play here to stop black.
Hounding at the head of two stones.
The head of 2 stones. And black would probably either play the cut here or back off and just capture the 1 stone. So this would be the peaceful way to play. And white would probably just extend.
And this is extending.
And yeah, sorry. This is a 3-4 point.
Yeah. This is sending white's influence in this area. By the way, folks, I just know what you're seeing behind us this is a tournament, the rest of the tournament that's going on. So you're actually seeing a live shot of the playing room, which is really cool.
Yeah,
so if you're in DC and come by, that's what you'll see.
Yes.
All right. So this would be the normal way, but of course this is not.
This is the way I would play. So it is really normal. Okay. But white played here,
so
and I think
talk to Yuan later.
Yeah, tell him to play more normal. And this is where white is trying to get something a little bit extra. Right? Like black would usually, the normal move for black again would be to cover here.
Sure.
This would be the simple move. And I sort of question what white's trying to do, because this area is
maybe
this kind of thing, or white could start with some kind of attachment here. But actually the fight in this area is it's a hot spot. It's very important. So I sort of question this way that white is invading so quickly. I think that white should play here and head to this variation, and then white would still have a lot of stuff. White could actually, attaching here is a very effective.
Well, let me ask you this, and I actually agree with that. This seems like a bit of an overplay, but it perhaps might be testing. Oh, just ignore.
Well, yeah. Well, it was an interesting move for black to ignore it. Black could have answered, but this is a very important point, and black just continued to attack here. So that was not necessarily bad.
This seems good for black, yeah? I mean, black feels like I'm really pushing white down. That feels unsatisfactory.
It's getting really complicated at this point. Okay. Black does have a weakness here with the cut on the...
Sure.
That's the 6th line. And black also has the problem that when white does get to play an extra move in the corner, this whole area is going to become very unstable for black. So white does have some potential there. Black cuts here. This is a nice test, and white plays here.
Show folks what happens if white natural.
Oh, it's not bad. That white could have done that. There's nothing wrong. Point that has potential of breaking the ladder. All you have to do is look at the position of the stone compared to the Endgame.
So just show folks real quickly. I know the experienced Go players out there know what a ladder is, but
yeah. So if you have this kind of shape in the middle of the board, and black wants to capture this stone, black would play an Atari here. And chase in what is called a ladder, because it goes zigzag just like a ladder does. So that's the, in English language name for this thing, which has a completely different name in Japanese, but the English name ladder really seems to fit because it does look sort of like a ladder. And when you start with the stone touching the tengen, which is this point in the middle of the board, it is going to go straight towards the star point.
But I might as well just run it out and show people what happened. So it looks like it's going to capture one liberty.
One liberty.
One liberty.
So white has to keep on running out.
Keep running.
And usually just playing Ataris like this.
If there was no stone here,
it would just go up to the end of the board. And white would run out of room. But when white has a stone, when white has a stone waiting like that, white can connect up. Getting distracted here, and white ends up, and black runs out of Ataris. Black runs out of
three liberties.
Yeah, and then at any point, once white has extra liberties, white can counterattack with a cut anywhere. Yeah, and black will just.
So that, folks, is
so ladder. It's a ladder, and when it fails, it's pretty. It's terrible. Yeah, it's terrible.
It's very sad.
So when it fails, it's a huge loss for black. But of course.
Or whoever does it.
Whoever does it.
Yeah.
So that's what a ladder is. And the ladder I was talking about here was this ladder. But you can see when you look at this this point here, you can see that we're well off to the side. And so this ladder is going off in this direction.
So if there's a black stone.
If in this case, white needs a white stone to stop the ladder.
Right.
And if there's no stone at all, then it just goes off to the edge of the board and white will run out of liberties.
So I'm still kind of feeling good for black.
So, but
here.
it's white's turn at this point, so white pushes.
Right. Oh, have we cut it? We have cut it.
And now black extends. And so both sides have very weak shape here. For instance, white would like to extend with this stone, but black can jump here. And because of white's weak shape on the other side, white can't really take an offensive position here.
Is this seems like first of all, this is, I don't think any of this is really maybe this was the one where it diverged from normal play.
Right, yes.
Okay. So and then black pushing down like that,
very
it's a proper
strong
punishment, right?
Well, it's a very strong way to play. It's not really established at this point whether it's going to be a success or not for black.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But what do you like the feel of it?
I like the feel of the way black plays.
Is that the way you would play if you were black?
Just to go back.
You would respond or not?
I would attack.
Yeah.
Yes. Just to go back at this point. When you have stones cutting your opponent like this, and the ladder favors the opponent, it's a very natural move for white to be. Is this board being shown? It's very natural for white to play an extension like this.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the reason that white chose not, it still would be a feasible move. In fact, I think white could have chosen this. The reason why it's not doing that is it gives black good shape on this side. Black can play here, or black can just actually take the one stone.
Just take
that
the
works
stone.
also.
But this is often because what happens is that you're creating more liberties. Yeah.
And it's not touching these two stones. So when white does something like this or something like this, black does have room to make better shape. So for instance, this would continue like this, and black would start attacking white on the side here, and this would establish what looks like a living shape for black on this side, and eventually black would be able to get back. Like white would have to play moves like this to make a living shape, and so it looks like the right side is going to be black's territory, and black can still fight on this side. So that's why white did not choose an extension here. And to go back again, if white extends on the other side, which is also a very natural looking move, the problem is that this ladder favors black.
Right.
So white played here, black played here. And you know, we had this position for a moment there. But if black extends here, white can capture in this ladder.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So we have another ladder problem here.
We're going to call this the ladder game.
And so we can see again, this is going to be the same kind of shape. And it's actually heading sort of towards a white stone, but that doesn't matter. And a white stone is good for white. White doesn't really need any stones there. It's just going to go like this onto the edge of the board.
It's so sad.
Yeah. So black, at this point, black played on this side, and white got to cut here. So that's a very effective cut. So this is looking a lot better for white.
White is just cutting everywhere.
And black connected. Black has to save these two stones, and white's probably going to just capture. So when white captures this stone, suddenly it looks very good for white.
Looks great for white.
Black would probably capture the
black's position 30 seconds ago, and now I don't like
what
happened.
A lot happens when a ladder is favorable to opponent.
Was it the cut?
It was the ladder. Well,
something happened.
A more pacific way for black to play would be to leave it at about this point. And play
really?
A connection
and just connect. That's so solid. I really like that. A lot of folks, and this came up last night in a similar context. This is a little faster. People like to do this, but there's a little bit of a. It's okay.
Well, it gives white a forcing move here.
Right.
And there's a question of whether it's more effective or not when you do, for instance, something like this next, or something like that was played in the game. And you have white breaking through temporarily. And then you have black playing something like this. Do you really want it to be here or not? And it depends on a lot of things.
Sure.
It's hard to say. Sometimes it is better. And so, but pros, especially human pros, I should say, because we do have AIs who are stronger than us now, just don't like this kind of shape usually. It just gives the negative aspect, and our experience tells us that the negative aspect of having this forcing move is usually bad, and especially players who like to play Ko's at some point just don't like the idea of having this Ko threat here hanging over your head.
So the connection is just really
comfortable, but I'm not going to say it's bad. Like it's not necessarily bad. There's a number of ways you can connect stones in a position like this one. You usually play, if you're going to play a hanging connection, you play it closer to the side where you want to do something next, or you want to accomplish something. So like if black wanted to make a moyo in this area, black would maybe play a kaketsugi on this side, a hanging connection. The solid connection just is very good, and that it leaves no potential for white. And then there's moves like this that take away white's forcing moves too. And they're more when you're playing light. But this would work in this position too.
Okay.
So there's a lot of ways to connect, and it's good to think about it.
I guess that was my point. Was people could think about that. I mean, you instinctively just no troubles. Yeah.
And so actually pushing here was a very strong move for white that had to do with the ladder there. And I'm wondering why we're not getting any new moves, because if I were white, I would just go ahead and take off this one stone.
Oh, let me just check and make sure that I say, all right, that's
you were on the wrong board, maybe? Oh yeah, so we did get
my mirroring this.
Yeah.
The live game's on your monitor there.
Got it. Okay, folks.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's only one or two moves you were missing.
Yeah. Let me just make sure.
And they kicked you out of the room now, huh?
Yeah, I've been kicked out of better rooms than this.
Okay, so black is scrolled, and I would expect white to answer that on the right.
And I think our crack tech team has got us. Can we take a look at the room now? Oh, cool.
Yeah,
there's our players.
And we have their names. We have
good job, guys.
Zhou Yang. It looks like Zhang.
Yuan Zhou is on the left, and
I think that Q is like an SH sound, so I think it might be Qingbo.
Nathan, is it Qingbo or Qingbo?
Yeah.
All right.
So now white's alive on the side.
Nathan, we would not be here today if it wasn't. Nathan and I spent a lot of hours, Nathan more than me, putting this place together. So we're going to have a whole list of Nathan and Joel. If Joel did his job right, our light supporting, you won't hear any crashing of that during this broadcast.
That would
Joel
be
does not look worried about it. He used some special glue, I think. Maybe some nails or screws. And Jeff Fitzgerald. Are my cheeks okay? Jeff is responsible for the wonderful lighting here. We would otherwise be kind of in a murky area. So we have our players here. We have our player cams, and is that a little piece of Keith Arnold that we're seeing there? Yeah. That's about as much of Keith as we want to see.
From Black's perspective.
I have to say, Keith, I was so pleased when I found out last night that Keith was going to be our game recorder. Normally he would be probably getting to board one, and so we're very happy to have Keith Arnold. Keith is a long time local Go organizer, and in fact, Keith is going to be doing an interview with you tomorrow. So folks are going to want to tune in for that. I got to find out what he's going to ask you. So. All right. So back to the game. I just wanted to give you a little breathing space there.
Right.
What is going on?
Well, White chose this way to make a life. White could have probably better to get the extra territory. And the only explanation is that maybe he was trying to take away a forcing move. Like there's the idea that Black could play here at some point, and White can play this way. But this exchange actually will help Black to make a living shape. And then otherwise White could play it this way. And the drawback to that is that Black has a forcing move here, threatening to save that one stone. So Black has a forcing move here in the corner. So, so that is a drawback to taking this way. But this way White has a 6-point territory when White lives. The way that Yuan chose to play was this way, and this is more like 4 or 5 points maybe. So he did make a slight loss in territory. Took a slight loss in territory, but he got some extra potential maybe on the right side. So he deemed that to be more important. So Black moves out here, but this is.
What do you think about the game position so far? It has a bit of to me, a bit of a cramped feel to it.
For Black, yes.
Yeah.
Well, the problem for Black is that Black is not 100% alive in the corner on the side here.
Well, Black can live right away if he wants to live, but it's not that interesting. Right? I mean, Black could have just,
it's very painful. Well, Black can still live by capturing the one stone, but like this is a 1-point move. Right. It's a very small move. Just living is not good enough. But White also has this forcing move here, and so we can expect something like this happening. And I'm just taking the game forward to what I would play. And then Black will be, so I did this when it was Black's move. So actually Black will be jumping out here, and White can play these forcing moves at some time. And when White does go after the Black group, this move will take Black's eyes away. If Black answers that, it'll be Sente for White. So,
so White just gives Black one eye.
It gives Black one eye. One eye is not good enough, obviously. So
you need 2 eyes.
You need 2 eyes.
2 eyes.
And so, in actual play, Black will not save that one eye either. Black will just play away and escape. But so White's not going to do that right now. But when White does it, like usually, if you had the potential to make 2 eyes, you would have that and then have 1 extra potential eye and be okay. But in this case, when White does this, the extra potential eye won't help Black because Black has to answer this locally. So there is more of a threat here, and it's sort of painful for Black.
Sort of painful? You're being very kind.
I'm being very, well, Black has territory on this side. It's not decided yet. So this, playing the nice move here would be the natural move. But it's sort of interesting that White's not playing it immediately.
So this is really looking like territory now. It's pretty much
no, it's not territory yet. But you know, it's not important enough for Black to be worrying about.
Right. This move helps.
It helps. It makes it more difficult for White, but White can still play the extension here.
Two space extension.
And 2 space works. 3 space works.
Right.
Or if White. Like, it really depends on the overall position, and when it's open up like this, you actually have a lot of options. So White could play underneath here and sort of switch to the other side, because the upper right area looks like it could become a big Black territory also. So this is a way White could play, and if Black really worked at it, Black could get some territory here, but White could switch to the upper right side. So this would be legitimate. If White lives inside, then you can probably expect, for instance, if Black plays something like this. I don't see White dying here, but when White lives, Black's going to have territory in the upper right part of the board. So that's why it's not a big deal for Black. The important thing is that Black has captured this 1 stone in the center in the ladder. There's another ladder, Chris. Well, in this case, Black has a number of ways to capture.
It's a third ladder.
With this stone captured, there's even if white can live in here, there's not much chance of a counterattack, which is the real problem. So white played this peep immediately, and there was really no reason to be so hurried to play it. But if black answers it, it will be a nice exchange.
Oh, actually, somebody had this is a good question about the stones, which these are actually just fairly normal. I think they're glass stones, yeah?
I think they're mostly glass stones. They're a bit mixed.
I have maybe for tomorrow at the house, I have a very nice clam shell and slate. Maybe we'll bring those, and you would like those, wouldn't you?
Sure.
Yeah. But this morning, when we were getting set up and the tech crew was doing all our tech crew stuff, Michael was messing about with Ebola. What was going on? I'll have to post a photo on Twitter.
Yeah.
But he was. Go ahead and tell them what you were doing.
Well, there were two things I was doing at the same time. I was counting the stones,
right,
and I was getting rid of stones that I didn't like because there were a lot of really big stones, and they're the plastic ink stones, but they just don't match the other stones that we have here. Which these stones are actually a bit thinner than usual stones that professionals would use in a game.
These are maybe 7 millimeter, I think.
I can't put a number on it, but they're just they're probably a couple or 3 millimeters smaller.
You have them a little because you guys like to really.
We like to have some curve on this, on some thickness.
A little more.
Yeah. But they're a lot easier to use than the really thick, the ones that the English Foundation has.
Yeah.
And so when they're really thick, then they just wobble a lot.
They wobble a
lot. And sometimes they just go on a walk, so it's really bad. So we like the smaller ones.
Yeah. But it was very funny because, so these, again, we're in the National Go Center, as you can, I think, and in a club, this probably happens in Japan also, right? Is that
they get mixed?
They get mixed up.
Yeah.
It leads the black stones with the black stones and the white stones with the white stones. But for a professional like Michael, these are. It was almost like having stones of a different color in there. They just really stood out.
Yeah, stood out. They really bothered me. And I think that with the really big stones, there's so much of a difference that some people might even notice on the screen here, although they're so small.
So he was thinking of you.
Because these are mixed too.
Even these stones.
They're still mixed, but I couldn't handle it to that point.
Okay. So good question. Good question. Thank you.
But they're not mixed so badly.
You can.
Yeah, I can handle this much. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So they haven't done the jump. The black has not done the jump out yet that you want.
Well, black has just answered white's peep here to connect up here, and you can see it's a painful move. And white's natural move is to play here, but an aggressive player has an impulse to try to surround black, which is probably a bad idea in this case.
Like something like
well, for instance, this would be a very.
You can go down to here.
You can go down to there. It doesn't make any. It's not necessarily better. Black will just come down into the corner, and you see that white's corner is not so strong. Like even if white continues playing on the outside, we have this position where black has some forcing moves against the corner. And black has an extra eye here, so black could make an eye here. And white's thickness on the outside still has a lot of weak points, like there's the cutting point there. The cutting point here, if the ladder favors black, there's a peep here. And there's all these forcing moves with the wide extension here. In fact, if white is going to add a stone here, it's probably better to have this kind of safer position. It doesn't, I don't know, maybe not that big a difference. But you can see the corner has shrunk to something like 7 points. And so it's not a good way for white to play. So it's a lot better actually for white to play this way, which gives white a strong corner and takes away black's potential to squeeze it. And this is already about 15 points. And so now, with the strength of this ponnuki here, this strong shape in the center, white can now play on the outside.
Well, and I think part of the point I think you're getting at is that at the strong amateur level of play, and certainly the professional level, while you're always happy to kill a group, that's always
it doesn't
welcome.
happen. Yeah,
it's
not so easily.
Not so much that it doesn't happen. It's actually even better than killing is to torture while making territory, which is what.
That's the more practical idea.
Yeah. Push them around, make them struggle for life, and now White has a 15-point corner.
15-point corner.
Yeah, so
roughly.
So rather than just the 6 points, White is double the size of his corner, and Black is not out of the woods yet.
Right,
so
exactly.
Pretty cool.
And Black eventually will have to be playing a move to make a life.
In his own territory, basically. Yeah.
So White did play that move. And Black would usually jump out. Moves like this are another possibility.
There's almost no choice, right, at this point? I mean, because if...
Oh, okay. So Black did play that one. So that's another way to jump out. And this is, it could be better than jumping out because when Black plays like this, it is putting some pressure on the corner. So again, it would be natural for White to be playing crawling ones. This actually makes it closer to 20 points in the corner.
More profit for White.
Because this shape that White has in the center is so resilient that White doesn't really have to worry about it very much. But White pushed through. Pushing through has potential of being filling a liberty for White, but it's not that bad in itself. White has a very solid shape to the right side of this corner. So the fact is that later on, when Black tries pushing through and cutting here, White doesn't have any problem with capturing from this side. And so it makes it very easy to deal with that, because if White had to play from this side, which sometimes is the case, then Black would have forcing moves from the outside. For instance, this one. So that's why White wants to take from this side. And the forcing move that Black does get is just this one, which it's not that satisfying. It's not a big move. White would just answer it. It's no problem for White. So the negative aspect of filling this liberty it's not that serious. It's not a big deal for White. And Black did cover here. But of course, cutting now. Oh, Black played there. That's
Michael doesn't like that.
I don't like that. No. That just makes it so easy for White. And now White can probably play on the outside.
It feels like White is really driving the game at this point.
Locally, yeah. But you have to remember that Black does have the right side of the board. Black has a position on the right side of the board, which is better than White's position.
And Black's
on the
not
left
really
side.
worried about dying.
Black's not going to die. It's a question of how Black has to make a life. It's going to be locally fairly painful.
It's going to be a Gote life.
That's the way White White has control here, so White can manage it so that it's going to be Gote.
And Gote
means White gets the tempo. Gote is when you lose a tempo. And I'm sort of leaning towards just stopping using moves like Sente and Gote, because tempo is more generally understood, I think, or maybe not.
Okay.
I've always used the Japanese words though.
Oh, neuroflexation this is a great, Michael wants to know about recommending books on the history of Go. We should just do a whole show on the history of Go. When Michael was talking to the kids yesterday, he was talking, and it was funny because I thought, history of Go might be boring, but you had those wonderful
pictures
images
make the difference.
you can look them up. Just look up, what would you look up? Go, the Yuki, where you have
ukiyo about Go. I think there's
lots of fighting. So that's a good question though. What would be good? Just
well, there's a lot of good stories about Go. All of the best are in Japanese, of course, but I think there's some people who've translated to English. Isn't there something
about, we have a couple of copies here. Well, first of all, if you're in the DC area, come by. We have. Right, Joel, we have this huge library. So many people have donated books to us. It's really been amazing. Tons of books, and a couple of them, I'm trying to think of it. I think it's the Encyclopedia of Go. I'm not kidding. The Almanac, the Go Player's Almanac.
Oh, yeah.
I would recommend the Go Player's Almanac.
Yeah.
The Go Player's Almanac by Bozulich, I believe.
Bozulich.
Yeah, Bozulich.
Yeah.
I would start with that. And no, it is not true that Go was invented by Nintendo. Here's the problem with that. Go is how old?
About at least 3,000 years.
Nintendo is, I think, younger than that.
Yeah, a bit younger. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good question, though. So yeah, Go Player's Almanac. Check it out. Tell them Chris sent you.
But of course, there's a lot of. Oh, okay. White did that way. This is not really recommended to take the territory from the corner. But it's one way to play. This is going to weaken white in the center.
Can white just sack those center stones?
No.
Too big.
No.
The reason I ask is because it looks like white is getting a very nice profit on the side here. I mean, this is getting fairly.
It's nice, but you know, white is profiting from a living group, which is not as effective as profiting from a group that needs to be reinforced. White's already strong there, so it's just the territory. And the problem with this play is that it's sort of implying that white wants to try to cut at some point. This move.
Yeah, show why that's
but this, as we have been saying, black is already alive anyway. Black can live at any point, so black gets this extra forcing move from the outside, and black can just live with this stone. And although locally it's painful, actually black could start with an attack on white in the center, maybe. And black's going to win the fight to capture.
Yeah, that's a nice move. Wow.
And
that's
so
a nice way to live by capturing something else, right?
Well, white will escape, and then black will have to come back. But it'll be a little extra profit, leaning on white a little bit before black has to protect. And you see, in this case, white's profit is minimal. It's something like an additional 6-7 points.
7 points. Yeah, you're right. Okay, never mind.
But if white cannot cut there and has to run out with something like this, and black gets to play on this side.
That's
now black has a very strong position, and white's not gained anything. But actually, what black did was black played the hane here, and that shows that black was afraid of the cut here, which was not wise. Well, black should not have worried about it so much.
Like this move originally, it's the wrong shape.
Yeah, it's the wrong shape. Yeah. So now white gets a chance. Now white might even sacrifice the fight. So it's a different story.
Right?
I just told you we couldn't.
Changing your mind.
I'm changing my mind. The situation has changed.
I see.
Okay, so black, if black cuts here, and now you can see black is a bit more cramped. So this could be a fairly even result with white backing off here.
Oh, I see what's happening.
And getting more on the left side. Yeah.
White actually is getting more, but also these have got much more because now they're just stones, right?
Now they're just stones. So that's a good way to put it. Yes.
Well, because when you capture, what you want to do is you want to capture, like
with a lot of extra space. It's not. Well, you haven't captured this one.
I know.
Yeah, I keep telling you.
I know. For illustrative purposes, though, this would be if we were to say, for the sake of argument, that it was territory.
Yes. That would be a lot of
space.
Open space. Yes.
But this is just 2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
It's a lot
points.
of territory. When you lose 5 stones like that, it is significant.
Right.
It's not
we
to be
amateur players hate to lose stones.
Right. Yeah.
We really do. You pros just give them away for Christmas.
Some of us do. Yeah. But white is getting a lot back, so this would be playable.
Oh, you know, it's interesting. One of our commenters, Nosferatu36, was saying he likes your reviews, which is good. Thank you. We have lots of them, and more coming. We just did one. I have to find out. We did one for, I think it's AlphaGo game 23 last night.
That was 23.
Assuming the video came out okay, I think we're going to have to make it a 2-parter because I think that's like 2 hours long.
Yeah, well, it was with an audience. We had a lot of interchange. It was very good.
Lots of questions.
Yeah.
But he says that he or she is still 1Q. And so the thing is, just watching the videos, which we love, keep watching the videos, but you have to study too.
Exactly. Yeah. Well,
videos are a good place to start.
You can get good lessons, but you have to do something with that in order for it to become a part of your game.
And what's your recommendation for the best way to study?
Well, if you,
besides watching all your
in
videos?
general, if you see something that you think you like or you think it's good, you just have to try it out and do the mistakes. and see it mess up,
That's
and
what
then
you told
figure
the
out
kids
what.
yesterday. Make
And
mistakes.
and when you make a mistake, then things go south, and it's bad. But you realize where you're making a mistake, hopefully.
Right.
And the hard part is finding what your mistake was. So you have to have someone maybe just a little bit stronger than yourself who can tell you sometimes.
Right.
And then if you get rid of the mistakes one by one, then after you've played it a few times, then you sort of know how you're going to play it. You know how to do it. And you have something that is your own. And it might not be good enough to be a pro or anything, but at least you're doing something that you know how you want to do it. And that's where you start making progress.
Right. Back when I was doing a lot of studying, and by the way, somebody asked me, strong, I'm 3 dan, although I don't get to play in as many tournaments because I'm doing things like this. But I asked all the pros I could find the same question, and you all must talk among yourselves because you all said life and death, pro games, and review your own games.
Right.
Those are the 3 things. Those are the 3 things. Does that still hold true?
Yeah, life and death. Well, life and death is like building muscles for your body. It's very important to have life and death because otherwise you can't. It's exercising your ability to read moves.
It builds up your reading ability, and it's interesting because it's not just for reading out life and death. Once you read out a life and death problem, it means that you can read out things like ladders or all kinds of other things. Because it's all reading.
Yeah, well, the fact that when you have done a lot of problems, then you get to you see moves that you think might work. You get an ability to see moves, candidate moves, you might say. Options. And when you have not done that, it seems very static. Do you think that you're on the wrong board again, maybe? Or maybe there's this thinking. Black thinks he's in trouble, maybe.
We're just thinking.
And having the ability to actually find moves that you think you might want to play, it's really difficult.
Right.
And it's one of the things that beginners have a lot of trouble, and Q players in general have a lot of trouble with finding a move that looks good. That they get into trouble finding that, and they end up playing just some random move because they can't think of anything that they think might work.
I'm sorry, I want to ask a question about this. And again, folks, you can also ask questions, not in general, life advice. We're here for you, but also specifically about this. But I'm going to ask this question. Is this necessary, the timing on this?
Well, in many cases, it's going to be better than having white play it and being forced to connect here.
Gotcha.
And also, there is the possibility of white cutting black off at some point. For instance, this would be a different fight altogether. And so there's the question of does black want to get into that fight? In this case, white would just extend at this point. It would still be a potential sack of these stones, but black would be sort of cut off also with this coal here, making it complicated. So
okay, I was just wondering about the timing.
In this case, yeah, it's a move you would like to sort of think about. But black does have the extra forcing move there later. So black has potential to use what we call aji, potential there.
And just a thing for folks watching on the sequencing of moves too. I spent a lot of time recording these top board games. One of the things that you would find is that there will be, and I'm sure this is true in the pro games as well, the players will sit there for quite a long time sometimes because they're both reading out, and it can be quite a problem for the game recorder because you kind of get lulled. The problem, and I always train my game recorders now, is that when the players move, there will be a flurry of moves because they both read it all out. And unless somebody comes up with some different move, since they're both reading out the same sequences, they pretty much they'll stop to see and make sure it's still what they thought it was. But I think we just saw this here. Where they played a flurry of moves.
That was actually a forced sequence. So yeah. It's very straightforward. But the next move for white is actually the one that is not so obvious. So like good candidate moves again would be, for instance, this would get rid of all the bad aji on the left. And again, bad aji is sort of potential that black can make use of. When white plays this,
what's white worried about?
White does nothing immediate. Okay. But like, for instance, if black plays some move on the side and white is trying to attack it, then black has, for instance, from all these forcing moves, which will give black some space. Oh, sorry. They'll give black they'll give black some space. And sometimes black will even play from underneath here. And it's not really working locally, but it does give black some space on the side. So you can see black is making a living shape here. Although all of white's stones are connected up. And this is all things that will be happening later in the game, because for the time being, black has to worry about this side. And so this kind of move would limit that to a great degree. But it would not be very strong towards the center. So this is why I sort of lean towards white playing this move, which is going to force black to play in the center. And maybe white can handle the potential black has by playing a move here in this vicinity first. And then you have to figure out whether you think black is going to make a living shape in here afterwards. That's a completely different problem, but white should be able to find a way to make this into territory if white plays first.
Joel, do we know the time limits for today's games? Are they 45 minutes? Usually in a 4-round. This is a 4-round tournament, folks, and so it's a 1-day tournament. I always kind of like 1-day tournaments because it's one and done. You know, the 2 days, 5. Usually it's 5. In Canada, they do 6 over 2 days, which is nice, but it really just wipes out your entire weekend. So the 1-dayers are kind of nice. You can do 4 rounds and then you're finished. Usually 4 rounds are 45 minutes. The reason I'm asking is because that's one reason for the relatively quick folks that tuned in to watch us during the Go Congress. Those were, Joel, I want to say 90 minutes per player, I think. They were long games. They were 3. We were going past lunch sometimes. So these games are going to be moving along fairly quickly. The other reason I want to raise that is Yuan Zhou has a tendency to play fairly slowly. He reads really deeply. The other player I don't know as well. Joel, you may know him. I don't what you can tell us about him, but tenacious. Okay, he's tenacious. He's not a student of Yuan's, is he?
I'm not sure.
Okay. But one of the things to watch with Yuan, very deep reader, can handle really complicated situations, almost always gets in time trouble.
Yeah.
Almost every game we tease him about it. He gets in time trouble. And he also gets a little tired, especially on these long Congress games that go on for 3 hours. And so when we would be watching or even game recording, we'd be really nervous that, you know, as the game gets towards the end, that he wants to be in a position where it's not going to be really complicated. So that's one of the things we'll want to be watching here. Is that he wants to be in a good situation. So he's got a really nice high position here, right?
Yeah. Well,
so can I just point out that white did sack those stones.
White did sack those stones. And it actually is pretty big.
Yeah.
Black has something like, locally just here, black has close to 20 points.
Yeah.
So it's a big territory. And white chose to push along here. This also is sacrificing the group, but it would be leaving more potential for white to create Aji later. And so I sort of prefer this move. And white also, since this sort of cools things down locally for the time being, it would give white an opportunity to play an extra move on the side. And that's a really important move.
Oh, here's a time check. By the way, Keith is doing a great job. Keith, if you're listening, great job. So black is playing very quick. He has 35 minutes, and you know how many minutes Yuan has? 12. So, and this is only, we're in middle game. It's all middle game. We're not anywhere near end game.
Something like 60 moves.
60 moves. Yeah. And Yuan has 12 minutes to play. And do we know what the OT is? It's probably pretty quick. 30 seconds. Let me check. And what's the OT? Oh my God, no, I was wrong. I was too early.
There's a couple questions in the chat.
I'll come back to the questions. Like I said, black has 2 minutes left, and white has, I can't see what white has. Wow, this has changed around. White has 22 minutes left. Okay, well, white has no problem. That's what he says. White has 22 minutes. I don't know how long this was.
In this fight, black was sort of in trouble, so he was probably thinking a bit more.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's slide back up there. That was a good question there, right there. Will there ever be a human player who can beat AlphaGo Zero? Well, I can answer that, but I'm gonna let Mike.
Well, I kept telling them you have to pull the plug.
So the answer is no. Yes, if they can cheat.
Right. Well, first of all, the computer, if they can, well, it's static now because they've retired it, of course.
They retired it,
yeah. It's already so strong that even I don't think the other computer programs that are actually active, they haven't caught up with it yet.
Right.
So AlphaGo Zero was very strong, and most of that it wasn't possible without the Google supercomputer, I don't think. So it's not something that would keep being that strong if we put it in someone's laptop or anything, or even if we had a computer with a good graphics processor, it would still be difficult.
Well, a variation on that question, that's from Nosferatu 636, is will a computer be able to beat the AlphaGo Zero?
Well, the other computers are steadily getting stronger,
right.
every year. They're making progress. I think it's just a matter of time.
Right.
And so,
and how quickly can we get into our laptops?
Eventually, I think that will happen. Yeah. Well, the computers that we have access to will be getting better and better,
right.
And the programs will be getting more efficient. And so it's going to happen eventually.
And you're just hoping it's in our lifetime.
Maybe, yeah. AlphaGo happened a lot earlier than we expected it. Yeah.
Good question. And somebody was talking about the surrounding neurofluxation, the surrounding game. Yes, great movie. It's on. I think it's on Netflix now. Yes, I think both the AlphaGo film and surrounding game are both on Netflix, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody can check that because I don't have time to check it right now. But I believe that both. That was a great year. Not only we had AlphaGo, and then we had 2 movies. Subsequently come out about Go. So, and I have to say, it was a great year because I'm a tennis player, and there were also 2 movies that came out about tennis that year. So it's pretty much, I know it was a banner. I'm sure it was a banner year. Somebody checked that, but I believe that both the AlphaGo film and surrounding game are both available on Netflix. So check them out. That wasn't acting. That was just you being you.
What?
Somebody was approving of your acting in surrounding game.
Oh yeah, well, I was just.
You can play yourself. Yeah. He plays himself very well. Cool. All right. Oh, there's our players too. Yes, very nice. Do we want to take a look in the room? Can we do that? Show them our players. Yeah, there's our players. I just want to check and see how the guys are looking here. Oh, Qingbo, is that correct, Joel? He was at the commentary last night. That's a very good question.
Yes, right.
Yeah, now I see why. He's a very strong player.
So black is trying to make some kind of sabaki on the right side of the board. It's a position where it's actually a bit difficult for black to make it work, but if black can save these 2 stones that are cutting white in the left side area, if he can connect up to those, then he's going to be able to cut white off in the center of the board.
This was the way you had looked at earlier, this idea of
this
black
kind of idea, yes. So black was played a very well-timed squeeze there, which worked as a squeeze.
And either way, right, whether it does that or if it can live comfortably here, that's also good, right?
Well, white has strongly I guess we're back with the board here. So white is counterattacked this way. Oh, that's not what I expected. He likes to give his opponent doesn't he? Yeah. Okay. So black is probably going to pull back here.
Because ponukis, you just don't want to do that usually. It's supposed to be, well, they say they're worth 30 points. I don't know if that's actually true.
It depends on where the ponuki is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
This one is a pretty good place.
Well,
this is what you would expect black to play. And if white connects here, then black could play this move. And so with this move, black would be already connected. But it could be playable for white. If white pushes, white might just take here, but then black would be able to connect with this. And white captures the stone.
From your point of view, these stones in this whole attack is really
so black
critical.
is hoping for a counterattack on the center. And it will be a fairly even fight. Otherwise, if black pushes through here, then black has a sequence that will allow black to connect up, which is this one. And white has to escape like this. So white's getting a lot of territory, but there's some bad aji here. So black can force from the outside. And again, black will be getting an attack on the center. So I would think of playing this way. It's giving white a big side on the left, but that's just about all white's territory is. So it looks playable for black.
So looks like black is going to be getting into overtime pretty soon.
So again, he's going for the territory. And like this is, allowing your opponent a ponuki like this is supposed to be bad. But black is reducing white's left side. And black does have this 20 points here and potential on the right side. So it's is putting a kind of a lot of pressure on white to do it this way.
Can we do a quick game status and a quick rough count?
Okay. Well, okay.
It's
so
big territory and everything now.
No.
I was just checking.
So this is about, it depends on who gets to this point. This is a really important point here. So it's between 15 and 20 points for white. Like if black plays this one, it's going to be less than 15 points. It's going to be more like 10 points.
So you would count that as
15 points. Yeah. Like if white gets the cut here, it's going to be more than 20 points.
Right.
So actually, this is a move that it would be something that white could do immediately. It would be a big move. But also white wants to think about playing the ko here.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Which is probably not possible yet. Not
too early.
Well, it involves a loss for white too. And black does have the cut here, which could be maybe used as a ko threat. So white's left it, and white's just played this kakari. So we're going to have a fight in a completely different area of the board. And white will be sort of eyeing that potential to play the ko, because of course if white plays this ko and wins it, then in that case, white did not need that cutting move anyway. So it will be more efficient for white to fight the ko without that exchange, or without even using this move.
Question about whether the video will be available on Twitch after the stream. I believe, Joel, the intention is to upload this to our YouTube channel. Is that right?
It will be available either on Twitch, I think on Twitch also.
Okay. So that's the answer. It will be available on Twitch and/or I think we put all our Twitch videos on the YouTube channel as well. Which I'm forgetting the address, but it may be. Do we have the YouTube address on there as well? I forget. Anyway, we'll figure it out. So this one, you don't want to play it too early.
Well, you just have to calculate the ko threats. If white has enough ko threats to win that, and so first of all, this ko is going to start with black capturing first. So first of all, white needs one ko threat to start with at this point. And you can see that it's going to give black a very nice position here. When black wins the ko, white's going to be very weak on the outside. Yeah. And so the prospect of a big white area here sort of disappears.
White really needs to win this.
So it's a big difference. So white first needs one ko threat at this point when black takes. And then white needs another ko threat usually if black plays here. White will probably want to continue with an Atari. In some cases, white can connect and allow black to connect underneath, but with some extra potential there. But usually, white wants to win the ko. So in that case, white needs a second ko threat at this point after black takes back. And so black has an advantage of 2 co-threats locally, which white needs 2 big co-threats to win. And in this case, black has a very big co-threat here, so that's a 3rd co-threat that white has to catch up. So it's going to be interesting. Actually, the focus of the game is sort of switched to the upper right area here.
This is interesting. So they went ahead and started.
Oh, white started the ko now.
Yeah. So do you agree with this timing at this point?
It's sort of interesting to see what white is planning to do. I would say that white's probably going to combine it with a cut in the center here, but no. Oh, that cut, a different cut. Okay, that's interesting. That works in a way too.
There's a ladder again.
It's not going to be a ladder.
I know.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry.
I shouldn't mess with you. You're probably still jet lagged, right?
A little bit.
You haven't had your second coffee yet.
I haven't had my second coffee.
Oh, we got to get you some more coffee for sure.
So, this is a dangerous way for white to go about it, but white has created some tension in the upper right area before doing the ko, which means that it's dangerous for white also. But this ko is so big that if white wins it, then white can probably afford some damage to that group in the upper right. So white's just going after the ko right now. And white's going to use these forcing moves in the center, which are bad locally.
Right.
But it's just okay for white.
Well, let me ask you this too. I'm just trying to check. I believe black is... I know black is in Biyome. I believe that black is lost 1 period. Nathan, do we know how many periods and what the time is on the overtime today?
I can go check.
Yeah, I think it's probably 5 of maybe 30 would be my guess.
Normally 5 and 30, yeah.
Is the basic time 45?
Basic time 45 for 4 rounds.
Okay, yeah. So it's probably 5 of 30, and so that could be a factor in this ko fight as well, right? Because you've got to...
Well, actually, maybe, yeah. But ko's actually make it simpler when they actually start playing them. Okay, and the choice of whether to play it or not is the difficult one.
Okay.
Once you start playing it, you just have to find a ko and you just have to take the ko.
Well, but you got to make sure
it's big enough.
It's big enough, and also that it's can't be ignored.
Yeah. Well, this would be a very forcing move for black.
Absolutely.
And white's going to answer that. And that was probably a clicko.
Ooh, good question from Nosferatu. Nosferatu's on point today. Thank you. Also, neurofluxation. Thank you for putting up the link, which I'm not going to read, but it's we have them up there. I want to know if you ever played against Lee Sedol.
Lee Sedol, no. I played against Lee Chang-ho, but not Lee Sedol.
Oh, get one of the Lees.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
And so white's probably going to... Cutting here would be... Oh, white played it this way. And black has a choice here. Usually black would just capture the 1 stone.
No, but
but now white does have this forcing move now. So white has the Atari here.
Right.
And then can cut here. And for the time being, black can escape. So that will change the fight. That's another reason why white was willing to play these ko-threats. Because in some cases, white can get this. And since the fight in the upper right is hot, it is a gain for white. But when white does that, white will have to continue with another move here. So white's not... The timing of this is sort of delicate because the ko is so much more important that white's not going to do it immediately. But black avoided that by pushing through. And so white does have a forcing move here, which will allow white to capture. But this way of capturing is not really a big deal. So black can afford to give white that 1 stone.
Okay.
So that was correct for black. Now black has to find a ko-threat. Black does have a ko-threat here, which would lead to a trade, maybe.
Wow, that's a big trade. Right, that's that whole route. That's...
and this would be...
like
maybe this would be big enough. So black might play this one.
Uh-oh. White won.
White won the ko. Where did black play the ko?
Where did black
play black cut. Now the cut here is not big enough. I didn't think it was big enough, at least. And the problem is that usually white's in trouble after this, but in this case, okay, black's going to try to squeeze, I guess, but when white cuts, if black extends here, white will take the 1 stone, and black can play here. Black's probably going to be able to take the 3 white stones on the side, but it's not going to be very big. It's not going to be big enough. I think the side that white gets is more important.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if black squeezes from this side, black might be able to live on the side. But again, losing the ko is a big loss there. And so white still gets to harass black a little bit. And so it's not very satisfying for black. So white did cut. So that's what white is aiming at. White is aiming
this looks better than just taking these couple of stones, though, right?
I don't like either of those variations.
You don't like either. You want a different variation completely. You want your second copy.
But black is trying to stay in the territory fight. Like black does have about 20 points here in this area.
8-12. I'm sorry. There's a question about 8-12. A12. I gotta look up where A12 is.
It's in. A12 was the capturing.
Oh, for
this one.
For another ko threat.
For who?
I'm assuming for black.
Oh, so to play this one, yes.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a good question.
If white connects, black captures the 1 stone. And white cannot actually take the whole black group. Like if white could crawl here and capture everything, that would be good. But black has 3 liberties here on the outside, 3 open spaces. So black's going to win that someday. White can take a few stones with this one, but it's not very decisive. And so this would not actually be the best result for white. And so I would want to play something like this next. Black takes the ko. And we have to find a white ko threat. So a ko threat that is going to be forcing would be this one, but it would be a slight loss, and white could take. So black would still have trouble. Actually, better than this one. This is going to be 20 so points.
You like this one?
Yeah, like this is about 25 points. It's less than 30 points, more than 25 points. If black captures these 3 stones. Now this is. It's 25 points already, just the captured stones plus white's territory. So it's 30, almost 40 points locally.
40 points, okay, yeah.
And the fact that black takes these 2, just look at that. Taking these 2 stones off. Now you can start talking about maybe territory. It's getting closer to territory. And it's going to be a very different story when white does try to manage to live, because it's going to be much more painful. Even if white still has moves like this on the second line that can make trouble.
I really like this much better as a ko.
So it's 40 points plus a lot of extra stuff.
Yeah.
So
and it's clean too.
It's very clean. And the good Aji on the right side.
This is not clean.
So this would be a forcing ko threat. So actually in this ko, this suggestion about A12 is a good idea.
It's a really good suggestion.
And white is actually going to have trouble winning the ko. White is sort of behind in ko threats. So at this point, white would probably, when black plays A12, white might just decide to leave it for a while.
Oh, and come back.
That would be one way that white could handle that, but it would not be a success for white. So I'm
curious why that wasn't played.
It's very strange.
Yeah. Well, we didn't get to ask. Yeah. So I'm sure it's at repost.
Well, it's hard to find a good move when the game is already getting difficult for black. It's sort of getting difficult for black at this point. So it's in such a position, it's very hard to find a good move. It's easier to mess up and get even worse than it was before.
Black is down to, I believe, 3 time periods. So
how many did black have to start with?
I believe it's 5.
Okay.
So, and 30 seconds is a good amount of time for players of this level.
Yes, of course. It can be done.
But back to the game assessment.
Okay, so it depends on whether black tries to live on the left side or capture the corner, and they're pretty similar.
Either way, it's similar. Either way, it's going to end in gote for black, I assume. There's just no way this is ending in gote for blacks. So white gets to go.
Flip this way. And this is actually Sept for black. So black, this is a vital move here for black to come down here on the first line. And then black would probably play something here to start an attack on white on the right side. So let's take a look at black's territory. This is more than 30 points. And so then there's white's territory. So white has probably about 50 points in this area. So black is behind in territory, but you can see black does have an attack going on the right side. So this is actually not as bad as I thought.
Yuan, I was wondering about this one. Yuan played this way.
It's no difference. It's all white's territory anyway. It's about equal.
Yeah. So white is slightly ahead on the board, but black
has a significant lead in territory because I was only counting this area local, and there's some extra here. But black does have a large attack on the right side of the board, so it's not actually bad for black.
It's playable.
It's playable. And so maybe it was not such a bad decision. And I think actually white playing all this stuff on the right side and then playing the code, the timing might have been actually a bit questionable.
Really?
Yeah.
Because
the right side is pretty important now too.
So you would have rather played it.
I would have left it after doing this. I would have actually the way white played here. White could have established that forcing move by cutting here and then playing here and having the squeeze here. So the way white did it, white actually lost this forcing move. So
it's gone now. That's right.
It's gone now. So white, while white did that as Kotas, white could have done it in this order, and then black would have to answer on this side because white has this squeeze that sets up. This would be bad for black locally. This squeeze here and capturing the cutting stones. So that would be bad for black. So black has to answer on this side. So locally, white can attack a little bit, and so make a strong. And this is not on the board yet. And so I would suggest that white should have done that before initiating this whole trade. So maybe it was a bit badly timed.
Yeah, and I guess my feeling is that when you have, that's something that black has to worry about. Black really.
Yeah, black has to eventually go back to that.
Right. Yeah. It's more black's worry than white's worry. So I agree with you. I think I would just sort of leave it and let black worry about it.
And the point is that now that white has got that profit, white has taken some profit there, but white doesn't have any profit left to gather. White's used up all his.
That's it. It's finished, right.
And so now white is going to be on the defensive. Okay. Black hasn't played this move yet. This is the natural move.
It's just a natural move.
Yeah. And white has to do something to give life to those stones. So, for instance, one example of how white might try to do it is to play something like this. And get these forcing moves from outside. and then just connect up to the left with something like that. So that would be a relatively peaceful solution, and we would then we would worry about whether or not this is. It's not really territory yet. But black sort of needs an extra stone. So is black going to manage to make it all territory with a move like this, or does it take a move like this, which would be safer? So there's all these things you have to think about. And then of course, surrounding the center with something like this is going to be a big move. Yeah. So this is one line that white could be thinking of.
Black major move.
And although that variation I was showing was losing points towards the upper right corner, it's really important for white to sort of connect up to the side, because otherwise, if white plays, for instance, something like this and something like this, then the drawback is that white's going to be pushing black into the side there. So that's why I was trying to find a variation in which white connects up. But instead, white jumps out here, a very stubborn move.
Well, apparently, his last couple of moves have really been slammed down.
Slammed down, okay.
Yeah.
It's a very stubborn move. With black, I would be thinking about attacking strongly now.
Yeah, I've been wondering if this would be a good time to.
It would be
slam the door.
Yeah. This is a big
This
move.
is also looking out this way, right?
Well, yeah, it's looking at jumping into white's area with this move. So there's a territorial profit that's possible, and also it gives some extra strength to the black group. The black group is not completely connected to black, this side in the center here. There's still a little space for white.
That Qingbo never resigns.
Okay.
A stubborn player. That's
He's
good.
a stubborn player.
That's what we want. That's what we want. We don't want to.
There's no rule that says you have to resign.
If there are any tennis players out there, they know that it was very sad in the semifinal yesterday. You saw the end of it. Poor Rafa had to retire after just a couple of sets with a knee injury. So we want the full 5 sets here. We want these guys to go right down to the final. By the way, you saw that Nishikori is out, lost to Djokovic in straight sets. Just for that update, because I know that very popular in Japan. So played well though.
Yeah, we got a question about the 3-3 in the top left. This 3-3, okay. That 3-3 looks like it's probably okay. Now usually you would be thinking about curling here, but that looks really dangerous for black, because black doesn't really have enough space to make live eyes. So black could be trying. This is why you have
to study life and death, right?
Yeah, it's important. This would give black some potential to get kind of a ko. Yeah, because it would be very dangerous for white to come at this point, because of the cut here, which would be causing a lot of trouble for white. I'm not going to say that it's going to live, but even if it dies, then black's going to get something extra on the side. But at this point of the game, it's not the 3-3 invasion is not really an issue, because the fight that's happening here in this area of the board. Where did black play?
Black played something.
He's in where black.
Let me just
back up a move.
Yeah, back up.
Here.
Oh wow! I never thought of that move. I didn't even see it on the board.
All right, now it's territory.
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry.
It's territory now.
But it's not really the right place to play, right?
Well, black had this big attack going on.
It's just, I mean, I love your move here. I think that's the heads-up play, right? I mean, that's a very this is a one-way move, right?
Yes. Well, it's the move you play at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So white is getting very aggressive here and cutting black off. Of course, black gets a very nice Atari here, which is going to give black a strong shape. And when white plays this way, it's going to make this move reasonable, because black needs to protect now. If white captures the stone, black will need this move in here to give black good shape. Black would add a stone here. So actually, this move is working for black when white does this. So I think this might be an overplay for white, but we'll see how it turns out. Oh, black answered it. So now this is still has potential to become a wasted move. In fact, there's a very high possibility this move is just going to be
I want
like in this position. Black can play here, and if you have this kind of shape, now this is going to be territory probably. So black, in many cases, black is not going to need this move.
No.
So that's why black sort of started the fight on this side.
Yeah, I'm on program.
So white got to play this move. So that's really great shape for white.
Yeah.
And it's taking a lot of black's eye shape away. And this looks like it's going to be, it could turn into a fight to capture between the white stones and black stones, because white has a very bad shape also. So they both have eyeless shapes. If black plays this move, then it's going to turn into a fight to capture between these two groups.
Is that pretty much the only move for black at this point?
It's the only good shape move.
You know, black plays here, but I was just thinking about that there's a problem with that, right?
There's a lot of problems with that.
I mean, there's peeping and...
Well, white has to be careful because white has all these...
Right.
Let's say white plays something like this to solve all those problems. Usually black will answer. And we'll come back to this move for white that I was playing. Now this move, if black answers in the corner, white can play this here, forcing. Okay, well, they're just playing. White's not worried about that group at all. But this is actually not that urgent. White, it's at this point, white should be able to win by just settling this group and then attacking black. So this would be an easy way. Yeah. And again, if white does get to connect underneath here, then it will be very easy. So even if black, at this point, even if black plays this move to stop white from getting forcing move here, white can still connect underneath. Right. And it's going to take some doing for black to live there, which means in the white's going to get some extra territory, and this corner is going to turn into territory. So that's going to be more like 80 points of white territory. And this is not going to be enough. White's going to win after Comey probably. I get the feeling it's not going to be. It could turn into a fairly close game. So white plays here. This is, when you're looking at the attack alone, it's a key point to attack black. So that's why he played it. Black is reinforcing here. And now the wedge here is becoming a very real threat. So that's what black is sort of looking at here. So it's about time for white to do something. Do something here would seem to be a reasonable move. Attach. Black's gonna grab that stone. I'm not sure that this is gonna work for white, unless black finds an even more forceful move, like when white sort of messes with this area. This move can sometimes become a valuable move for black. It's a valuable stone in some cases. So like moves like this, or moves like this, or moves that white has to worry about. Moves like this. Well, actually, white's gotten rid of this move for the time being. What I was saying is now white, with this stone here, white can connect up. So that wasn't true. White's connected up in this case. So the natural move is to just grab the stone. But black played here. Now if white plays on the right, now there's two cutting points. So that's what black's idea is. So what if white plays on this side? What is black trying to do?
I mean, the only thing I can think of is that black's trying to fix the shape on this side, but it didn't really need fixing, I didn't think. I'm a little confused here. Oh, set up the other wedge?
Well, this is the only move that has potential to work.
Oh, that's interesting. Does it work?
To a certain extent. Otherwise, black would just pull out.
Sure.
This would also be something. But yeah, the wedge here, like if white plays from the left, then this would be a double Atari with a double threat. So that would be good for black. If white plays from this side, black plays here. If white plays here, black can cut here. So this would probably end as a trade, but you can see that black's going to be giving up a lot here when white breaks into the side.
Wow.
So this looks like it's playable for white. Let's see, white still has something like 50 points in this area. And that's counting some of the corner, but yeah, usually that's going to be white's territory. And white's breaking into here. It looks like a slight advantage for white, actually. So, although it's a move that is working to a certain extent, it's not the strongest move because the whole white group was in danger here. So, getting to break through into the corner like that is going to make things easier for white. And it's just about the only variation that is feasible. Like, yeah, allowing black to cut where white just connected would probably be bad. So white connects here, and now that black has started on this road, what black has to continue by cutting. It's just forced. Yeah. But white still has this forcing move here, kind of a potential connection here. Black would probably add a stone to the corner somewhere.
They're both down to their last couple of.
And there's something with the clocks that they don't stop beeping even if you run out of time.
What's up with those clocks? Apparently they don't stop. They just keep going.
They allow you to continue playing. So the players have to be watching the opponent's clock to be.
And it's the player's responsibility to say the other person's clock is down, which is sort of.
I briefly heard an announcement about that. Doesn't happen in one of my games.
Wait a minute.
So black threw in here, and it has the same effect. Black's just trying to capture in a different way. But white, of course, white played this way and allowed black to get the snap back here. And white's going to push through here next.
That's not really big enough.
It's a smaller way to take it, but in a way there's less damage to the right side. So there's some logic to it. So black's alive in the corner.
So counting.
Okay, 10 points here.
Right.
20.
Right.
So that's close to 45 points. I didn't count the move that black had to put in. So well, it's close to 45.
55, 65.
So that's 65, 75. So black has 75 points. White will have to add a stone. They're continuing here, but this is going to end with Sente for white. And white will have to return to the upper left corner. Because without that corner, now white's going to be behind in territory. White pulled back. That's strange. Well, black will cover.
White has to clean this up, right?
So if white plays here, white's got enough territory. It looks like it's going to be a pretty close game. It's going to be decided in the endgame. Black push through here. Even if black plays this exchange, black's going to end up covering from the corner anyway. So it doesn't really matter whether black plays that exchange now or later. It's going to be the same thing. Unless white wants to pull back here, that would be interesting. Yeah, white pulled back. That's another way to play. It's less eye space. So there is some danger that the whole group could come under attack. But it is more forceful against the corner. Black has to answer here eventually. Oh, white pulled back. It's better to come down here. This is bad shape. That is bad shape. Because later black will have this move, which actually cuts white.
Wow, really?
They're playing very fast now.
Yeah. I think they're both down to their last.
Well, they have it as many times as they need it, don't they? If they provide, they don't overuse the time.
Well,
how many seconds?
According to this last report, white is down to 2. Black is down to 1, and white is down to 2.
Is it 30 seconds?
30 seconds. Is that right,
if they play
guys?
within 30 seconds, they can go on indefinitely, right?
Right.
And so white doesn't really have anything in the corner.
Yeah, what's going on? That looks like a point.
And white needs to add a stone to this area now because black can cut white off.
Oh, maybe white doesn't see that.
Well, he's in trouble, sort of, because he needs to add a stone there, but black can make a life in the upper left area.
And that's going to change all the calculations.
Yeah, it's going to change all the calculations. It's not going to be enough territory for white.
That doesn't work either, though.
White needs this stone. Well, otherwise white would have just been cut off. So white's pretty much alive. In fact, this was not as good for eyes as the other way of playing either. So but white's sort of alive now. Let's call it. Oh, black's not making it easy. But white can live by extending down here. And black will leave it, and black has to find a good move in the upper left corner. So the 3-3 point will still be, it looks like it could be a ko, but black also has the option of playing this attachment, which might be better in this position. Oh, so instead of going down, white cut here. And black can play an Atari underneath. So this is looking a bit troublesome for white. White's eye space is still.
I was just going to ask, where are white's eyes?
Well, white will take here. And this is where black has to choose because the strongest move is to bump against. And it's not as if white's going to die, but white's eyes are a bit thin. In this case, if white comes here, then this move becomes forcing. White has to answer again. And white has a forcing move here, which gives white one eye, and then has an eye on the outside. So this is one way white could live, but it's painful.
Interesting. That's not the way they did it.
It's the same thing. In this case, black will add a move here, or here, maybe here, and white has one eye on the side. If black plays here, yeah, there's no reason to play that kaketsugi really, but it's in some cases it's a point game. White still has the forcing move here, which gives white one eye on the side. But if black plays here first, white's eye in this area is gone. So white would then need to make an eye on that area, and again that would be pushing black into white's territory. So there's a negative aspect there. But white did play. Oh. Very solid. Usually you would play here and it would still be a white territory, but he didn't like the bad aji, I guess. So black can now play these forcing moves. And this is actually a very big move as far as territory is concerned too. So it makes a big difference in the black territory in this area. But you see, when black gets to play this move, which black was going to get to play anyway, it's better to have this stone here when we get to this shape. It's better territory. And you can sort of expect white to play this at some point because this is an eye-making move. And so it was probably slightly better for black to play the solid connection here, although this does make a difference to the side territory. So black bumped against white, and white played this forcing move against the corner. But again, there's still the issue of this wedge sometimes. And so that sort of, if white gets rid of that by playing this move, that's going to interfere with the extra eye here. And so white does have a bit of a headache here making a life because white's playing some painful moves. White did play the takefu here, the bamboo joint. Black's going to answer it here. And that means white only has a potential eye here. And will be pushing black into the territory there. So this is slightly painful. And black is perfectly connected because black has this forcing move again to stop white from connecting. So this is painful. Let's take a look at the territory again. Did I say this was 45 points?
Yep.
So that's 45 counting all of the points. So black actually needs a stone in, so
Right.
it's 44 points.
And I think it was a total of well, I think this whole area.
So this is
there,
about 25, so it's about 70.
70. This whole thing was
And
about
black
70
has
plus another
10 points.
10 points in the corner,
That's 80.
so 80 points.
Okay. White just has that area on the left side. So white has about 60 points
60
that are
on
solid
60
territory.
here, so
and then it has 5 here.
Right.
So white needs 10 more to make a close game.
Right.
But white still needs to deal, like this move at least is going to, any move in this area is still forcing after this. Oh, so white wedged against the black.
Yeah.
Now that was a strong move. And if this move works, it's going to be very effective. White's trying to make a connection underneath. Okay.
Which would not only be...
That would be much better. That was better than the move that I was suggesting.
That's more
So
points.
at some point, black should have played the peep here, maybe. So this is something that I didn't see, actually. This is very good. Oh, so white just played the attachment. So white did get a connection there. If black extends here now, white can answer on this side, or maybe here. And then if black tries to bust the territory, and like that. So white gets to cut black off.
Beautiful.
So this suggests that maybe
Wow.
so let's just back up a little bit.
So black missed a tempo there.
Missed a tempo there. So that means that black didn't really need to nudge this white group so early. And as I was saying, black should have made a
You
life.
didn't like all of that play. You like just the first move there that you wanted to play away right
Well, black
away.
needed to find an opportunity to get rid of that
here.
black-white territory.
Yeah.
That would be something like a 30-point move. And so black did get to harass white, but this move actually has solved that problem for white. It was a very good move. And now
White's just driving the bus.
we're in an endgame.
Yeah.
So black actually jumping here was another option, but black is trying to be more efficient to maybe to set up a knight's move by getting some extra stones here. And white surrounded the upper side. So
yeah, this looks a little.
so now white has a lot more territory, and so it's just a question of can white avoid any complications in this fight here. Black's going to try to make trouble. White would like to peep here. This is the strongest move. Looks like it's going to work. Oh, but white played from this side. This is also a move that looks like it could work. Black will probably attach here, and white will play hane. So white's trying to surround that territory while also protecting this group, which is in danger. So white has 2 jobs that white's trying to do at once.
White's already made Boku territory.
White wants this area.
I know,
but also has to deal with this.
Deal with this.
And white's doing it by attacking black first. And so if black connects here, white can actually continue by pushing through here. And that's going to get rid of the cut that's threatened.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It looks, I think after this is just too big for,
it's big,
white.
Yeah. All white has to do
more
is
than white needed.
avoid any complications in this area.
Like not die in the center or something.
Right, well, like if white answers this way and black gets to cut here, that would make something like at least 10 points difference in my calculation. So
we're going to get to see that.
Oh, that did happen, yeah. Okay. So now white cannot capture this black stone. White probably will pull back and then sort of surround on this level, maybe something like that.
It still looks like enough.
So black had 45, 70, 80, about 80 points.
About 80 points.
What?
I think this is the...
So he's going to end with that stone, okay.
Right.
So black has in the vicinity of 80 points. And so white is closer to 90. So white does have a territorial advantage now.
Right, so that takes care of the komi.
White has komi. White gets the komi, yeah. So
black
black
cannot... That's
cannot...
the way we play it. You do it maybe differently.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I even with them both down in their last periods, I mean, black's kind of running out of options, right?
So black has only slightly more than 80 points.
And that's it. It feels like black. Oh, I think it was this move here, this clever move here.
For white, that was
white,
you could
really
call that the winning move.
The winning move, yeah.
And black was a bit too tenacious here in trying to attack white. Black could have just gotten rid of that white territory in the upper left, and I think that probably would have been a win for black.
Yeah.
But actually, the actual doing of it would be dangerous. Maybe it would be a fight, but I think if black had attached here in the corner, black should have been able to manage something. I was about to show the variation, but they got a completely different thing. So this move here, which was trying to harass the white group, it ended in gote. So it was maybe a bit premature.
I think they had a hard time just sort of leaving that area.
Yeah, well, it was about time to leave it. It was that huge move in the upper left. Even if he had jumped into the 3-3 point, it would have been a very big move, and that would have involved a ko, so it would be more difficult. But it still would have been a very big move. So it looks like white.
Oh, black rescued a couple of stones. Right
Okay, white made a mistake here.
Yeah.
White pushed here. It looks like it's white's territory anyway, but black forced with this move. And what white could have done is white could have just connected here. Oh, maybe. Well, that has its problems too. So white connected here, and black got to connect here. So that's a big difference.
That's
like if white had played here,
oh my gosh,
would have been all white's territory.
How many points is that? Oh, I played J14 first. J14. Oh, yeah, we're missing this move here. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Nathan.
So so that was the mistake.
That was the mistake.
That it left a cutting. Yes. White should have played this way, and then white would have been able to finish the territory. Okay. Yeah. How good was I was saying white was?
We were saying
white was actually slightly ahead on the board. I have my doubts now.
Yeah, no, I think you're. Well, can I just say this is the problem that I mentioned earlier that Yuan has.
He ran out of time.
It's not. He's just and he gets low on time. He makes mistakes like that. Like he played here when he should have played here.
Yeah.
Which cost him
about 10 points.
That's that, and your variation, he had the 10 points to cover.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I think white might win on komi, but I'm not sure about it. So black played this exchange, and force from the corner. This is big. This is a big move that White should have played first.
That's right.
That's another 2 points.
Gotta go back and fix.
White could have played that with Sente. It was a forcing move for White. And now Black's going to end with this. Too, right? Oh, Black did end with this move. This is another big move. That's really big. So the flow of the game suggests that Black maybe is going to win. I get the feeling from the way they're playing it. Black is just doing everything he has to do. So it's a good flow of the moves for Black.
It's weird because it felt like White was after White's really cool move there. Like White was really driving it.
Well, White was winning, but look, all of this territory disappeared. White could have saved all that territory.
It was, wow. So this was so cool, and then this one, this could be. So if White loses, this would be. So this could have been the winning move. This could be the losing move.
Right. So now this is 32 points, and I was saying this is 45 points, so 77, 87, and you see Black's actually close to 90 now. So playing this move really made a big difference in Black's territory. $44.
Oh, they played this whole thing out. Played this whole thing out.
And you see that was just one stone that Black's going to end up putting in here. So this was all an exchange inside Black's territory, and Black only has to put one stone. So that's 44 points here. So it's 45, 46, 7. So Black has that's making a difference. Almost about close to 90 points.
Oh, I want to know if you're going to come back here and compete in our pro tournaments.
Probably not.
You're pretty busy. We'll talk about this later on. We'll be here all day, by the way. Today we have 3 more rounds to go, and we'll definitely talk about this. Michael's got, in addition to all the things he's doing with us, thank you, he has just an incredibly full schedule, including some cool things that people don't know about. So we'll talk about that. I don't want to get going on that now because I think we're just about done here.
I think Black's going to win now.
Cool. Yeah, Black. I think Black pulled it out. Black was after White's really excellent play there.
White had a win. All of this area should have been White's territory. White could have made the whole thing territory.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't think we need to follow the moves now.
Tenacious.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what y'all said. Y'all said he's tenacious. I think it's a combination of Black is very tenacious, and then also we've just seen this. And Yuan knows this. He knows that he gets in the end game, and it's just tough. Even with these shorter games, it's just hard for anybody. You get in the end game. There's a lot of things going on. Yeah.
Well, if you make mistakes in the end game, there's a lot of it's an actual loss. It's immediate difference in the size of your territory, which is very damaging.
Who's trying to read the Aji? Oh, Nathan, don't be shy.
In this corner here?
Yeah.
White cannot really accomplish anything because Black has too many open liberties. Like if White extends here, Black plays here, and it looks like Black's going to get an eye in that corner, and so it's a one eye for Black, and White's just a dead shape.
One eye against. It's a great Japanese term for that. One eye against no eye.
Miyari menashi. Yeah. So that's an eye against no eye. That's not a fight.
Right.
Yeah, it's not a fight. So there's no way for White to attack that corner. That's why White should have played the Hanetsugi. That's a 2-point difference.
Right.
Yeah. And they're playing a ko there, but it probably won't affect the outcome of the game. It's just a little extra possible profit. You want me to continue? It's going to be difficult to follow the moves.
Okay.
I think we should just watch. Why don't we just watch them? And they're going to be playing out the ko. Yeah. It looks like it's going to be a win for black. This is 44 points, 54, 21, 25, 85, 87, 8, 9. So it's almost 90 points for black. Depending on how, you see that area sort of in the center of the board, black has just a little bit of potential territory there. So if black established maybe capturing the one white stone towards the upper side, then that would be a good 90 points for black. And white has in the vicinity of 80 points. So it's close to 10-point difference before komi.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Is it JThat92? Appreciate you bringing us some more viewers. Thank you. And just a reminder, this is round 1. We have 3 more to go today, so it's going to be a lot to go today.
Yeah.
But we're very excited. This is our first stream from our brand new broadcasting facility. I like saying that word, even though it's actually just a small room here at the National Go Center, but it's pretty awesome. It's pretty cool. We had our doubts about whether we could make this work, but it's definitely working. And as far as we know, we're the only Go Center that has its own broadcast facility.
Yeah, it's important.
Take that, Seattle.
In Seattle?
Seattle? Do they have a room?
I don't know.
I don't think they have a room.
I should go and see it somewhere.
Yeah, they broadcast it. So now we're coast to coast.
Yeah,
We have
America's doing well.
East Coast Bureau and our West Coast Bureau. Very cool. Oh, caught that. Yep, that you were talking about that's the stone you were talking about, the white stone. The white stone.
Well, white's just given a gift to black, so it's more territory for black. Unless that was a click-all. No, it doesn't seem so. Yeah, so that was what white was doing, but yeah, in any case, black's established a lead.
Oh, I see. Right. 246A. Yeah. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. What's going on here? Oh, I see. All right, that doesn't work. Okay, cool. Oh, and Nathan, can you go ahead and put all of our credits up there so I make sure I don't forget at the end for our whole team?
Oh, up here.
Yeah. So I'll make sure before we sign off that I give everybody who worked so hard credit.
Yeah. So black is playing a very solid endgame. No mistakes that I could see.
Yeah.
And it's more than 10 points now. I mean, before komi.
This is a pretty exciting game. It really
well, it went back and forth.
Good.
Yeah, it was sort of disappointing the way white sort of threw it away at the end.
Yeah, had it.
White had it. That was white did give away about 10 points at the end there.
Yeah.
And that
I
was
think it was just
that move.
Move.
Yeah.
This move is here, then this is all white.
Yeah, well, just to go back to my board here.
Yeah, let's take a look at that again, because that's the
it was the turning point of this game. So we had this position where white had played a hane, and black was threatening to play through here. White actually should have just pushed here.
Yeah.
And if black connects, then white plays this move. And now this is, let's see, it's It's more like a 20-point difference from the game.
Wow.
And black does have the option.
Because your point is that now the cut doesn't work.
Right, because the cut doesn't work now,
So
because white could just pull back.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Any move.
Just because these are not
They're connected.
These are connected.
And there is the problem, well, if black plays here, white can just push through.
Right.
And white loses 4 stones. But as I was saying, that 20-point difference there is going to be much more important.
So that's only...
And now it's more like 25-point difference, because white's gotten some extra points here.
Everything is solved.
And it's just 10 points for black, so it's not going to make any difference. So pushing through here, black might answer it by bumping against white here. But again, it's the same story. All white has to do is sacrifice those 4 stones. And now this is more like a 25-point difference on this side. Giving 10 points back is 15 points better than the game. So that would give a close game before komi. So this would be a winning move. What white did was white played here, then black cut. White found a strange way to... This would have worked if white had just connected, though. White could then push through here, and then play the kosumi. And that would have been 10 points better than the game. And white's probably going to lose by something less than 15 points on the board, but more than 10 points. That's my estimate of the score. I haven't really done a very good calculation, but it's going to come out anyway. So we can watch and see what the score is. It's probably going to be between 10 and 15 points.
That much?
Yeah, before komi, that is.
Before coffee.
So if this is about 10 points better than the game, that means that white would have won by komi. So in the game, white played here, and again, if white had not pushed through here, then it still would have worked. This move has no relevance. White can cut black off. Because black But the fact that white played this exchange here was another mistake, because now in this case, black would be able to play an Atari from the outside. And so this is another liberty that white should not have filled.
Wow.
And that made another 10 points.
So many mistakes in
so
that
that was
so there's just sort of a bunch of blind spots in here almost.
He missed this forcing move.
Yeah.
And so those mistakes combined to lose 10 points for white. And again, when black did that, white just couldn't read it out, I suppose. But white could actually have covered on this side. And white's going to win the semi, so this would have been better than the game. It would have involved a squeeze in which black is going to get these 4 stones. That would have probably been a closer game.
It's really hard to read out in short time, too.
So white answered that, but then black got to connect it. So there was misreading or an oversight that white had many times. So white, in all, if we go back to the beginning of this whole exchange, white lost something like 15 points.
That's the game.
That's the game. It's the difference before komi, or maybe a bit more than the difference before komi in this final position. Do we have a score? Maybe they're counting the game now.
I think they're still playing. They look like they're still playing. Yeah, let's just take a look there. Yeah, they're still playing.
Looks like they're still playing. Looks like they're filling the dame points.
So you're thinking like 7.5 points or so?
It's a 6.5 point komi?
Yeah.
So maybe not that much.
Not even? Okay.
That would be a 15-point difference before komi.
Yeah.
I don't think it's quite 15 points, but it's more than 10 points.
Okay.
I didn't really bother to make the...
They played out that mess in the corner.
Well, you know, that move that white played just now is a tesuji, but it's not going to work because black has too many liberties open.
Oh, and it only, yeah.
It's not going to...
This goes back to Nathan. So Nathan, you were right. There is...
It looks like there might be something, but it's just not working.
Yeah. Yuan's a teacher. He likes to check and make sure. Well, I have to say this was, there was some problems here with the play, but it's an exciting game. So it's
yeah, that's something about humans that make mistakes. Was that the sound of a pass?
I don't know. I've never heard that noise before. Actually,
Yeah,
that's a
KGS.
Is that KGS passing? Oh yeah, got it.
Normally,
I turn all
within
that stuff
KGS,
off.
I think that's the sound of a pass.
Right.
Yeah.
I usually turn that off. So we will get.
Do you think the program can count it for us? That would be quicker than the game.
Says here, this one says white by 5.5, but I wonder if they have. Did he put the Comey in?
There might be a group that's this.
Yeah, you have to show that to me again.
Let me just make sure if they have the Comey. See if they have the Comey in. Right? No, it's got all the correct groups. Well, let's see. Let's see what their count is. The KGS is saying that white wins, but
maybe I miscounted.
no,
that happens.
Well, if so, it's because you didn't have your second cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I like this part of the game.
Mm-hmm. Easier to understand, huh?
When I was a kid, when I first saw the game, when I was a kid, I just loved because you can it's all this confusing stuff that's going on, and it's not clear. But at the end, it all becomes really clear.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a lovely part. That's why I've never liked Chinese counting. It's such a god awful mess, and the stones are flying, and there's piles, and I know all my math friends tell me it's so much more accurate, but it just doesn't have the aesthetic that we get here.
Yeah,
it's just very, and even in counting, which I was never a big fan of. I did like that because it was even clearer because you had you could just
they fill everything up. Yeah.
Yeah, every single point on the board gets filled up. That was kind of cool. I don't think anybody does that anymore. Like there's no
with the counting balls.
With the ing count. Does anybody play ing anymore?
I've actually never seen somebody do that.
Oh, you young folks.
I've heard it's possible
that. Well, you have to have ing sets. So ing I can't even explain it, but ing counting relies on having exactly.
Looks like it's 49 points for black and 36 points for white. That's what it looks like to me. Maybe 48. 49 points, yeah.
I have somebody on the feed on KGS saying black by 6.5, which would agree with your count.
Mm-hmm. So it's 13 points before Comey. It seems right.
Well, where we at there?
I'm
waiting for our man Keith Arnold to give me the count. That's who
that's what he's supposed to do.
I'm going with Keith.
20, 49, 36. Yeah, that's 13 points. So it's 6.5.
6.5.
Mm-hmm. So that was where white lost the game. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
It's easy for the commentator when it's clear like that. Yeah.
It's easy for the commentator when the commentator is you. All right.
Thank you.
All right. So, do we have an official? Yeah, 6. Yeah, we have an official call. 6.5 for black. We just leave that.
Oh, we want to leave that?
Leave that. So we'll just do a little. Michael, the professional, wants to tidy up the board. We'll do that in a second.
Yeah. Okay.
So first of all, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Thank you, Michael, for a great commentary as always. Lots of fun. And then reminder, we'll be back, and then we can take a little lunch break. Now, do we know what time the second round is, guys?
With a lunch break.
I'm going to say it's noon here, 1 o'clock probably. So 1 o'clock we should be.
They might try to do 12:30. We should check.
Okay, it'll either be 12:30 or 1. Check back. We will be back soon. We need to eat.
Yeah.
And then just a big thanks to our entire production team. We've got Jeff Fitzgerald did all the wonderful lighting. Joe Cahalan did a bunch of things, including making sure that the lighting has someplace to hang from and not fall on us. So we appreciate that.
That better not to
Nathan Epstein is the man. He's you really here till 4 o'clock in the morning? Tell me that's not true. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Nathan putting in an ungodly amount of hours, and then Stephen, I hope Stephen. I don't know. Stephen's in Germany, so who knows if he's watching right now? Maybe it's possible. 5 hours ahead. Thank you, Stephen. Nate Eagle, who's playing today. So I think Nate and Stephen did our wonderful graphics. So if you like them, thanks to them. And then Keith Arnold did our game recording today, and I'm going to credit Gurujeet Khalsa, who's the executive director here at the Go Center, and gave us his blessing. And actually, he organized the library over the weekend, and y'all really want to stop by and check it out. You should autograph some books while you're here. Just sign some books.
Yeah, sure.
Cool like that.
I can do that.
All right, that's going to do it for us for this round 1, game 1, and we will see you again soon. Thanks again for watching.